I'm Theo.
And I'm Juliet.
And this is Apologies Accepted.
We offer an entertaining look at some of the big issues in history by examining public apologies of the famous and infamous.
We're looking at politicians, serial killers, actors, and you.
Send us a public apology you would like to make, and we'll read it on the air and give you a chance to redeem yourself, or just get some guilt off your shoulders.
We're here for you. Once a week, maybe more if you're really, really sorry. Hi, everybody.
This is Apologies Accepted,
the podcast.
And I'm not Theo.
And I'm not Juliet.
And we're here this week, as every week, to tell you what's shaking bacon with us. That's the whole point of our podcast. So let's get right into it. Theo, what's shaking bacon?
Absolutely. I was going to tell you, nothing happened, but this is this is the reality of being an adult. I want to say, nothing happened, but yesterday James bought a new car. And so
fun.
That's a thing. And you don't buy a new car every day. So why is that nothing to me? Because it's not my car. It's why. But I had to go.
What did he get?
He got another Jeep. License plate, GLC. No, totally kidding. And his old car, which was also a Jeep, the Bluetooth went out on it. And Jeep Wrangler has this audio system that's called U-Connect, the letter U, because they're cute. And just a whole fucking thing, right? So it's in partnership with SiriusXM. And however that happened, when the Bluetooth went out, the dealership and SiriusXM could not agree as to who was responsible for the repair, right? And the car's still under warranty. And so it just went back and forth. And finally I just said to James, just trade the car in.
Yeah.
Just, who cares, right? Your phone doesn't connect, so you can't take phone calls.
Right.
You don't have Apple CarPlay anyway. Everybody needs to have that. I can't live without it now.
Right.
I would rather have no car than not have Apple CarPlay, I guess. Yeah, sure.
I need Apple CarPlay. Absolutely.
How do I drive anywhere?
I don't know.
I need podcasts and I need maps. So anyway, so new car, very happy, yippee skippy.
Yay.
And then
what color?
It's kind of, it wants to be puce, sort of like a grayish purple, but then it's not puce. Wow. It's like army gray, but then it's not army gray. It's like a gray silver. And so it's not my favorite color, but at the same time, that's the color that was on the lot that was the least offensive.
I'm surprised you were able to get a car at all.
Kind of, yeah. There were loads of cars, but it's like, well, that one doesn't have a tire, and that one is from 2015. The one piece that was really interesting to me was James' previous car was from This is only interesting to me. Nobody else on the planet gives a single fuck. It was from 2016, and so when James was trading the car in, it's low mileage, all that sort of stuff, right? The guy was like, wow, your car's 7 years old and it only has 36,000 miles on it. That's incredible. You must not drive a lot. James was like, no, I drive to work, but I live like 2 miles from the office, and that's kind of that. And so, great. And then James said, yeah, no, you're only going to give me X for it, but you're going to turn around and sell it for XX plus X. Yeah. Right. And the guy was like, oh, no, your car's 6-7 years old. Like, banks don't finance cars that are that old anymore. You can't get a loan for it. So we have to price it at the cash buyer's market. And nobody's going to come along and give them $30,000 cash for a car that's 7 years old when you could give $30,000 cash for a car that's like 2 years old. So, interesting. And I am the type of person that will drive to that lot, get out, walk around, find the old car, and look at the price sticker just to see if I'm that bored. Anyway, I'll keep it short because truly nothing. Although we do have, it's time for the garden update. You take weather.
Oh, yay.
I take garden. I
want to know what's going on.
Yeah. So there's a little baby possum that lives in our yard.
Oh.
And I want you to take cute, and I want you to magnify it times 10.
Oh.
It is so fucking cute. It is the cutest little thing.
Oh.
I can't even believe it's real. And it's a baby. It is the size of your fist.
They're friendly, too. Did you pet it?
No. No, because I wasn't sure if it would bite me. I'm not from LA, but I'm from LA, and the only wildlife I know is like in nightclubs. And so I don't know what bites you, what has rabies, what's infested with fleas. I don't know. Even birds are questionable. So it's so cute. Now that you've told me they're friendly and I can pet them, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to pet the possum, which sounds dirty.
It's probably just going to play dead.
Oh, cute! That's so cute.
But if you get rabies, don't come running to me.
Okay. You're the first person I'm biting.
And I'll be there too.
I will run across this country. Well, yes, you're right. I'll have to get infected with rabies while you're here.
Oh, no, that's not a good idea. I don't want to spend my trip in the emergency room.
I think Austin has nice emergency rooms. But anyway, so I have I had, past tense, these two little thyme plants, the herb.
Nice.
And I have a friend who calls them thyme.
Thyme.
Thyme. I'm like, it's not pronounced the way it's spelled.
Yeah.
I don't. So these two thyme plants, right? And they were probably about a good 12 inches apart because I wanted them to grow and have room to grow, but I wanted to be close together so they could, I don't know what plants do, mate and then make more plants. And then all the time is mine. Actually, I'm kidding. I know how plants, whatever. So they're gone.
Oh, no.
They're entirely gone.
Oh, no.
Something came and ate one of them.
I see where this is going.
And walked 12 inches and ate the other one.
Ate the other one.
Motherfucker.
Aww.
One wasn't enough for you? So, of course, I went out and I bought 6 more, and I'll be planting them today.
You're going to be feeding that, whatever it is, eating.
Apparently, yes. And so I knew that couldn't be squirrels, right?
Right.
Also, it happened at night. And how I know it happened at night was in the evening, I was outside admiring my garden. Mm-hmm. And then in the morning, I went outside again to admire my garden.
Admire your garden.
Yeah. It's been 8 hours. What happened? The whole story going on back there in my head. And and they were gone. So it happened overnight. Probably not squirrels. I don't think squirrels run around at night. Possum, you're lucky you're cute. I'm stepping on you the next time I see you.
I bet possums do eat thyme.
I Googled it, and they do. And they eat tomatoes, and they eat parsley and cilantro. And
you should put a little plate out for it so it can eat off the plate as opposed to eating your fresh vegetables and herbs. Although it probably won't know the difference between your plate and the fresh vegetables and herbs. But maybe if you make it easy for it somehow.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe I just go to Home Depot and get... Which I shouldn't be doing because that guy supports Trump. I need to stop going to Home Depot. It's just such auto default. Whatever.
Is Lowe's any better?
It's the exact same thing. It's just there's more Home Depot stores around me. And
I mean, is Lowe's better from the Trump angle? Oh,
yeah. Or I don't know, but because I don't know, that means yes. Oh, we're building a nice segue before we get to your what's shaken bacon. So
my bacon. So
to start talking about stores and buying products at the end of yours, and then we'll have a nice segue. Okay. There you go. Okay. The perfect plan, secret in place. Right. So what about you? What's shaken bacon? What you got?
I'm going to Austin. I'm so excited. I'll be there tomorrow. I think like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something like that.
1:10 p.m.
Yeah, and I'll meet you if you want. I'll just meet you by the luggage, not by the luggage, but outside of the arrivals, so you don't have to come in.
You're lucky that I don't buy a ticket from San Francisco to Austin and ride on the plane with you as you get here. I'd have to get to San Francisco first, but I'll meet totally you at baggage claim.
No, don't come in. Just meet me outside, like, at the outside place where they
where people get picked up outside of baggage claim?
Yes.
Yeah.
That place.
Yeah.
But don't come in. So don't do any of that stuff. But yeah.
Okay, so don't be there with the balloons and dressed up like a clown and scream, "It's Juliet, everybody! She's here!"
Congratulations on getting over your gonorrhea. Yeah, no signs.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I wouldn't have thought of that. How about if I'm just standing down there and I start clapping and I scream, "Mommy, mommy"?
I would die laughing. So I'm going to Austin, and I'll be there a couple days, and we're going to go see a band, and we're going to have a good time, and we don't have to do anything other than see the band, and I'll be totally happy. So I don't have anything planned or any secret desires to do anything. I'm just looking forward to seeing you and hanging out. So that'll be fun. And other than that, I got absolutely nothing going on. So let's talk about stores and shopping, and maybe when I'm there, we can go to Lowe's or Home Depot.
Oh, I'll take you to Lowe's because we'll be buying some thyme plants. I don't know if you know about this possum that's eating in my garden, but yeah. No, I'm very excited, and there's loads to show you and drag you around to see. And I think you're in Austin for the perfect amount of time because it's not like New York where you just can't do everything.
Yeah.
Right. You can do Austin. Austin's a good 2-day town. 3 days, fine.
Does Austin have an art museum? They must.
It depends on who you ask.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so if you ask me, then Austin would like to have a museum, and they have a couple of good starts. There's the Blanton, which is at UT, and it has they don't have as many paintings as I have, but their paintings are worth a lot more money than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, no, it's not like a San Francisco, LA, New York, Chicago type, right? But there's a couple of museums, and are they worth going in? Is any museum worth going in? No.
Good to get that cleared up.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about brand sponsorships and brand sponsorships as they relate to a certain person whose name is Dylan Mulvaney. And Dylan Mulvaney is 26 years old and was born, assigned male at birth in San Diego, California. She says she came out to her mother as a girl when she was 4 years old, but her life, just I guess in general, and then later as an actor, because she was in musicals and plays like Book of Mormon. Which, have you ever seen Book of Mormon?
I haven't, but I have a really good friend who has seen it twice, and she paid money for those tickets. Yes, like when she told me what she paid, I was like, "For fuck's sake, really?"
Wow. Where did she? Was that in LA?
No, it was in New York. So,
things are so expensive nowadays.
Well, it just whatever Book of Mormon, like the tickets were $2,500 plus.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way.
Oh yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
There were people that paid more than that for. So there's nothing I want. If I'm going to be starring in the show, I might spend $2,500 for the ticket. Right. If that's what it takes to get me on the stage. Otherwise, no. Mm-mm.
No. I mean, I was just looking at some luggage, which was like half that, and I couldn't even justify spending that much money on luggage, much less going to a play. But I'm sure that she had a good time when she went. So,
she went twice.
They say experiences are more important than things. So maybe it's worth it. I don't know. But I have not seen Book of Mormon, and I would like to see it, but sounds like I never will.
I'm waiting for the Netflix.
Yeah. So Dylan was in Book of Mormon and some other things like that, and being an actor, and she was acting as a man, prevented her from fully transitioning until during the pandemic, when basically all of her acting jobs disappeared, and she had a chance to really sit down, I guess, and think about what she wanted to do and who she was and what she wanted out of life. And by that time, she had gotten a following on TikTok already for posting cute animal videos and talking about her life as a queer person. So she then used her platform in March of last year, 2022, to officially come out as, I'm not sure how to say this. Did she come out as trans? Did she come out as a woman? Or did she come out as a trans woman?
So great question. And the answer is yes to all three. You either, it's not that you have choices, but like, you're coming out as trans, you're coming out as a trans woman, and you're coming out as a woman. And so all three of those things are true at the same time.
Okay. Got it. So she came out in March online, and she did it by tracking what she called her days of girlhood to document her transition. So she started, with first day of girlhood and went on. And she said in interviews that she used the term girlhood because she had never gotten to be a girl. And she wanted to take the opportunity when she was coming out to have as much girlhood as she possibly could. And I think she has sort of started moving into talking about herself as a woman lately. But I don't have the deets on that, so I can't say for sure. But she is an extremely positive person. And at least her persona is extremely positive.
She's infectious. She really is joyous. Yeah.
She's
infectious doesn't sound like a nice word.
She's infected.
Her joy is infectious. Her
joy is infectious.
In a good way.
Yeah. And she now has about 11 million followers, and she has had about 1 billion views, which can you imagine 1 billion views? That's a seventh of the planet. That's a lot of freaking views. And she has received numerous brand sponsorships, as I alluded to earlier. Those sponsors have included Nike, KitchenAid, Kate Spade, Native, Olaplex, and Svedka Vodka. But the most controversial sponsors so far have been Ulta and Bud Light. Ulta interviewed Dylan Mulvaney on its podcast in October, during which she discussed her transition and the definition of beauty. And I think their podcast is something called something like Beauty Is or something like that. So that's why she discussed her definition of beauty. She also talked about her desire to be a mother, which really set a lot of people off. And a number of it totally did. A number of anti-trans customers responded by threatening to boycott Ulta. Ulta did not give a fuck and said, the premise of our podcast is to feature conversations that widen the lens surrounding traditional beauty standards. We believe beauty is for everyone. The intersectionality of gender identity is nuanced, something David and Dylan acknowledge themselves within the episode. Regardless of how someone identifies, they deserve our respect. Which I say, good for you, Ulta.
It's the absolute basic operating system we should all be using.
Yep.
That's just like where we should be starting from. But whatever, I'll save a lecture for later.
It's like the minimum. Then in April, Bud Light sent Dylan a can of beer with her face on it as part of a brand partnership. So they did not put her face on cans of beer that were for sale in the stores. And I don't know if they sent her a can of beer or a case of beer with her face on it.
It was like a case.
It was a case.
One case. It wasn't 10,000 cases of beer that nobody was forced to drink a Dylan beer. Right. They sent her. How many beers are in a case? Like 24?
I don't have any idea.
I'm usually too drunk to count by the time I get past 6. So it's more than 6. And then I lose count.
I don't know. 12? I don't know. No idea. So anyway, that sent people completely over the edge. Marjorie Taylor Greene loudly switched to Coors
got my
Light.
ears.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She switched to Coors Light despite Coors being vocally supportive of LGBTQIA plus rights. And Kid Rock made a video shooting cans of Bud Light that he had already paid for. So basically not proving anything or doing anything to anybody. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called out the violence and vitriol directed at transgender Americans following conservative outrage over Bud Light's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. She said, when a transgender American posts a video about a brand of beer they enjoy and it leads to bomb threats, it's clear that level of violence and vitriol against transgender Americans has to stop. They should be allowed to be who they are, to be who they want to be, and they should be able to speak out against, and we should be able to speak out, and others should be able to speak out against hate and discrimination, she said. So this level of vitriol shown to Bud Light by conservatives resulted in the chief executive of Anheuser Busch issuing a statement last week on the company's Twitter account, which we will talk about in a few minutes.
Yes.
4 days. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Please continue.
I was going to say 4 days after Dylan posted the Bud Light video, she then announced a paid partnership with Nike in an Instagram post in which she modeled leggings and a sports bra. leading former Olympians Sharon Davies and Caitlyn Jenner, who is, of course, transgender herself, to criticize the brand. Jenner said, "Let's not normalize any of what this person is doing. This is absurdity."
How?
I don't get Caitlyn Jenner's deal here. Does she think she's not trans? Does she...
Caitlyn Jenner
has she
is
forgotten what she had
worst.
to go through? What is her deal? Does she think she's better than Dylan Mulvaney in some way?
So I can't speak for,
I mean, not that Dylan Mulvaney isn't good, that came out wrong, but.
Oh, no, I know exactly what you mean. No, Caitlyn Jenner's thing is that, she's conservative. Mm-hmm. And so that means traditional values. Now, she is an exception to people who hold traditional values in that she is, that's not what I mean to say. So let me take that back. Not that she's an exception. She believes there's an exception for her under the umbrella of traditional values. And she gets to hold the umbrella, and she determines who gets to stand under it. And Dylan does not in Caitlyn's world, right? Because Dylan's liberal. Dylan's asking for too much. You're asking for too much room. You're asking for too much of a presence at the table. But at the same time, having been an empowered, entitled, wealthy Olympic athlete who had, I'll say, essentially the world thrown at their feet when they were in their prime, just a skewed version of reality. And so the world owes Caitlyn Jenner everything because the world has always given her everything up until the time she started to transition, right? But it's just, I can't. Did you see the Lady Gaga thing?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. So Lady Gaga is standing outside some event, right? Something, and it's people just milling around. And Caitlyn Jenner is there, and she comes up to Lady Gaga, and I will say Caitlyn Jenner is, I shouldn't talk about how people are dressed, but I'm going to, is dressed like a very, very matronly grandmother who thinks she's still a little sexier than she would be in terms of normal conventional beauty standards. Clothes were a little too young, I'll say, for her, still on the matronly side. And Lady Gaga is wearing like some big white ball gown thing, right? And Caitlyn comes up and says, "Hi, are you still staying in Malibu?" And Lady Gaga looks at her sort of like, "Why are you asking me this question?" And people are milling around. And Caitlyn Jenner says, "I haven't seen you at Starbucks," which is Caitlyn Jenner's way of saying, we live in the same neighborhood.
Right.
We travel in the same circles. We're equals. We have same magnitude of star power. I'm important. All the Hollywood bullshit. I mean, that's a Hollywood move, right? You're going to associate myself with you. And so anyway, Caitlyn says, "I haven't seen you at the Starbucks." And Lady Gaga says, "I've switched baristas," and then walks away. I want a t-shirt that says, "I've switched baristas." It's the new, I don't know her, that Mariah Carey line, that I've switched baristas. Beautiful. Wow. Yeah. And then the look on Lady Gaga's face is very much a, why are you talking to me when you hold the views that you have? And I'm not projecting. That is the look on her face. Right.
Wow.
But anyway.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So Caitlyn Jenner is a piece of work who is completely out of touch with her own hypocrisy, but
completely.
We'll wait for her to apologize one day.
Yeah, we'll we won't hold our breath, but we hope that she will apologize one day. And then Sharon Davies had a bit of a different criticism of the whole thing, saying that the Nike and other sports companies are not giving enough modeling opportunities to women in general. And I think she's wrong in excluding
trans women,
Dylan, from that group of women. Like, she should be happy that Dylan is getting advertising as a woman, and there should be more women who are included in the getting ads. So I disagree with Sharon Davies, but she did have a slightly different point. So I think she just was making it really poorly, and it's wrong. So anyway, I thought I would go into just a little bit that since April 3rd, a record number of anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced this year. So there are 417 in 2023, and it's only April. It's only mid-April, I think. Yeah, compared to 180 bills last year as a whole. And many of those bills are aimed at trans young people trying to access gender-affirming health care. So I think we've seen, in Florida, maybe in Tennessee, people are trying to outlaw young people trying to get gender-affirming health care, which is appalling.
Especially when you stop and think, sorry to jump in there, but...
No, please.
Like, you need your parents' permission. You just don't get to be an 8-year-old and walk into the doctor and say, give me some tea, which is like short for testosterone, everybody, for those who don't know.
Right.
Or as a 12-year-old, you just don't get to decide, I'm going to have corrective surgery.
Right.
Even adults don't get to just walk into the doctor and say, I'd like corrective surgery. There are psychological profiles, tests you have to go through. There's therapy you have to undergo, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that's undertaken lightly. And so horrifying to me that the government thinks that they know children better than the children's parents know themselves. I've lost myself in a grammatical snag there, but it's the government saying, we know how to raise your kids. You clearly don't.
Yeah. And this is from the party of get the government out of my life and let me raise my kids my own way. Well, a little bit hypocritical there.
Speaking of the party of that, did you hear what the Texas GOP did?
I don't know.
All I have to say is Texas GOP, and then it's like, it could be anything, Theo. What? They've passed a law that all public schools, I will say again, public schools have to prominently display the 10 Commandments in every classroom.
Did they pass that law or did they just propose it?
I believe it's been passed.
Really?
Yep. And then within the school day, there is Bible and prayer time. And I'm just like, you guys wait until the kids with the Quran start showing up asking for, a moment behind the mic to, yep. And, Jewish people, as long as you kind of keep it to Moses and the 10 Commandments and all of that, great. Don't say anything that's anti-Jesus, and sure, they'll give you the mic. But, government, the GOP is inserting itself into women's vaginas, people's gender identities, meaning their heads, and their religion down our throats.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know what we can do about it. Hopefully the next election will help, but I'm concerned.
We'll see. I'm not concerned about the country. I think let me rephrase that. I think there's enough people out there who see what's happening within the GOP and right wing. And this may feel very tangential or right wing, but the backlash against Budweiser is coming from the right wing, and the hatred that is spewed at Dylan comes from the right wing. I mean, there's some TERFs out there. There's some leftists who aren't on board with trans people and all of that. So maybe like in many ways, the politics might align, except when it comes to gender. And I can't speak to that, but I think there's enough people out there that we're going to be okay.
I hope so. I'm gonna write that down and look at it every night before I go to sleep, so I can get
throw it in my face 2 years from now when it's like Trump is president, Amy Cody Barrett or whoever she is like the Supreme Court justice.
Unbelievable. So that's all I've got. Have you got anything else before we talk about the apology?
I do. And so, gosh, it's like, I didn't get into the history of beer. I mentioned this to you pre-show, right? I didn't get the history of Anheuser Busch. I was very interested in the marketing aspect of this. So, so I was looking for, okay, what happened and who got to make this decision? And now I am frantically Googling everybody to see her name. Her first name's Alissa. Her last name is Heinerscheid. And she was the VP of Bud Light. And she's the person who gave the green light to the Dylan Mulvaney campaign, right? And I'll just say, like, wow, it all gets to be rather, you just get to a point of inertia with it. It's this thing of, okay, so Budweiser, the VP of Budweiser, brought in a trans person and did something that I would consider to be nice. People freak out, and the stock takes and in some news sites, it's a $5 billion tumble. In other news sites, it's a blip. You and I looked at it very quickly pre-show, and it was a drop of 46 cents per share. So it was like $65.80, and then it went down to like $65.10. So, I mean, sure, that's a jump, but is it a big jump? I don't know. I don't know stocks, right? But it'll come back. Budweiser's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
But it's just the sheer reaction, the sheer hatred in the reaction, right? And it's this whole, you're ripping the fabric of reality away from me. What is a man? What is a woman? La, la, la. And I listened to Rosie, not on purpose, but because I was doing some research on Dylan, I listened to Rosie O'Donnell's podcast, and I will say, fine, it's the typical Rosie O'Donnell stuff. Very friendly, very sweet, very sugary. Okay, awesome. But she quoted one of her kids, and that sort of like helped frame this for me. And it, according to Rosie, her daughter came home from school, elementary school, and advised Rosie that some of my classmates don't know their genders. And Rosie O'Donnell, who, for our listeners who don't know, is a lesbian activist, right? So she's gay, she's queer, she's fully on board. And Rosie said, oh, well, honey, it's pretty easy to figure out. There's boys and girls. And her daughter said, no, mommy, that's sexist. There's two sexes, but there's many genders. Problem fucking solved. I'm not going to fight that. But we are in this weird, time where everybody sort of gets to pick their own version of the truth, and our versions don't align or match up, and so we're finding ourselves divided further and further. And what I love about Dylan is she's just so full of positive energy and joy, and she really is about bringing people in and helping them understand, which is why she started the whole 365 days of girlhood TikTok, so that people could see a trans person undergo the transition and get to know that person.
Right.
Very lovely. She takes a lot of heat. And so just some random thoughts that I'll throw out there. We can connect, and then we'll look at, I'm just going to call her Alissa, VP of Bud Light, and sort of like how and why did she make this decision? So I'm going to start with the fact that all mammalian life, that's a big biology word for warm-blooded creatures, start off as female. So every man is actually trans because we were all female for the first 6 weeks of existence, right? And whether or not, I can't get into is 6 weeks, does that make it a baby or not? Whatever, the sac of tissues is XX chromosome, right? And that's just say it's intentional. It's not intentional. It's a defense mechanism, because the Y chromosome would be recognized as a foreign body inside of a female's body. And so the immune response would shut that shit down, basically, I guess. All right. So all men start out life as trans. Or all men are trans because all men start out life as female. But saying something like that, it reminds me of my argument about when people say, oh, you're throwing food away. You're just wasting it. Right. And my response is always, food does not go to waste. It will be eaten by rats. It'll be eaten by bacteria. It'll turn into soil. It's not going to go anywhere. I just didn't eat it. It's human hubris to think that the food is wasted, right? that lecture never wins any converts. Nobody's like, oh my God, Theo, you're so right. I never thought it about that way. I'm sorry I criticized you. It's more like, shut up, don't be so pedantic. And so same thing with that. And not that I don't know what to do with it, but that's kind of what helps me frame my viewpoint around trans people existing as trans. Or as the gender / sex that they are. So I'm not bent out of shape that somebody's going to appear on a beer can. And neither was Alissa. So Alissa is a Harvard grad, and she was interviewed on a show that I did listen to. It was an hour and 6 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're welcome, because it was a very mommy and me, rosé all day, it's wine o'clock, live, love, laugh podcast, right? And I have a lot more thoughts about that podcast than I do around this issue, right? Dylan, your hero, absolutely love you, you're amazing. And then Alissa also. But it took me 45 minutes to get to that point, because it was a lot of the interviewers saying things like, you're such a badass girl boss. How do you slay all day? And, it's like, holy fuck, God, with the trite cliches, the just all of it, right? I hate it. But I was listening because I wanted to hear where's the Bud Light marketing stuff, right? And so it did come up a couple of times, and at one point in a very direct way. So Alissa has taken a leave of absence / potentially maybe been fired. There's been some realignment of marketing staff at Anheuser Busch, because of I can't say because of the Dylan situation, but it only happened immediately after the Dylan situation. So because of the Dylan situation. And I'll say, we'll see what's going to happen with that, but she wasn't let go or / she wasn't put on leave entirely for the Dylan thing. In this podcast, she says, Bud Light's a brand that's been in decline for a number of years. What? No, you don't say that. Even if it's, on one hand, yeah, if it's true, it's true. But, you don't say that. You say, ways to improve, et cetera, et cetera. So she slammed the company a little bit and said that I'm going to paraphrase here. This is not exactly what she said, but she did say frat culture, and she did sort of paint pictures of frat bros. I don't think of Bud Light. When I think of Bud Light, I don't think of frat bros.
Yeah,
right?
I don't either, but I could be wrong.
No, I think of guys who fish. I think of pickup trucks, right? That's what I think of. If I think much about it at all.
Right.
And so then Alissa answered a question about like, oh, wow, so you're the first woman to ever lead Budweiser marketing. Like, what's that experience like? You enjoying being this badass girl boss? And Alissa says, and this will be verbatim, I'm incredibly grateful. It's kind of taken 41 years for women to be in this spot. And I think it's sometimes helpful to just sort of recognize that this is the spot, like, this is literally verbatim. I did voice to text. This is where I think I had maybe even dreamed of being in some kind of a position like this. And so kind of being happy in the here and now is a part of what I'm trying to do, and kind of like draw joy and energy. And it's particularly interesting that as a woman, I'm in a very male-dominated vice industry like beer, and it's a long road, and it's sort of been tense and hard, but it's also brought a lot of clarity and perspective about kind of who I want to be. and how I want to operate in the world. And I would say the most important thing about this job is that you have to prioritize bringing other people along the way, community and women. I mean, it's like, it doesn't mean anything unless I'm positively impacting other people. And so it's just been incredibly important to me to make my decisions with teams. I mean, I try to build teams of people who maybe nobody else is taking a chance on them. I try and bet on people who haven't had the opportunity, bet on people with similar values as me who are hungry and want to do great things, but care about each other and protect each other and are kind and good. And I try to bring that honestly female representation in this role. It has been something that I've been really committed to. We can talk a little bit about that if you want, but it's been ever since I took this job, I wanted to try and move the needle in some small choices along the way to start to say, this matters to me. It's the same one I'm dealing with. It's same as if I'm dealing with celebrities or sponsorship or partnerships. It's my commitment to sort of bring others along with me that's really just important. What an amazing perspective. What an amazing view. Beer is not ready for that. That is not it. And I am sorry, Alissa, call me. I will give you some guidance. We don't jump straight to the point. We've got to take little baby steps. So the first thing we do is, do you know the hot guy on TikTok that does all the axe wood chopping?
I know a couple of them.
Couple? I thought there was only one.
More than one.
Oh, all right. Well, the hottest one. The hottest one, right? He's very open-minded, female empowerment, blah, blah, blah. But, straight guy chopping wood, hot. Yeah. Shirt comes off all the time. He knows what sells. You get him, right? And then people are like, yeah, great. Right. And then, they also kind of understand he's an ally to some communities, right? And then you move a little bit closer, but you don't grab the football and just run to the goal line. I don't know. Yeah. I was like soccer net, football, but you don't run to the winning spot with it and jump up and down and scream, I won. You got to fight your way through some guys. And that's that. And so we just went too fast. That's what happened.
I see.
And unfortunately, in going too fast, Dylan gets a lot more hate and heat for this. And I don't know what other brands are going to do, but some of the other mainstream brands, maybe Kellogg's is not going to come after her and ask her to be the face on the cereal now. So
they probably weren't anyway. So
maybe not, right?
But it's good that I think it's good that what happened. It does open up Dylan to more negativity, but I think also it does sort of blaze a trail, even if we don't get the next step for a while.
I think you're absolutely right. And so it does kick the door open a little bit more, which is great. But Alissa and Dylan will have to pay the price for that. Alissa she's a Harvard grad. She recovered, right?
Yeah,
she'll be fine. This is a moment that will go into marketing textbooks. Yes, there are such a thing as textbooks about marketing. And so, not a bad thing. I totally get the motivation. And I'm really glad that I listened to 45 minutes of, wine o'clock talk.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. To get to that, because it really does feel genuine. It really does feel, it wasn't a calculated, we'll get so much publicity. It did feel like we want to shift the culture. We want to shift the brand because I'm an all-inclusive person. So, so again, really glad that I got to that point. But, oh, my God, I've never heard the word girl boss or the expression, what's in your worry box.
Oh, my God. I hadn't heard that one before. I can live without that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's more. Oh, God, could I even think of one? But, here's the thing. I don't want to, talk down on that because here's the thing. Not my struggle. And so I don't need those tools. maybe people, like gay guys, it's a struggle every day, right? And so there are tools, and some of those tools are expressions like girl and that sort of bullshit.
Right.
And not my tool either, but when I hear it, I understand why it's employed. And I didn't, because I don't have that experience, I don't understand why those tools are necessary. So it's easy for me to be snarky and I hate it. But I just don't understand.
Safe.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair.
All right. Let's get to the apology.
Okay. Was it even an apology? Well, we'll get to that. But the CEO of Anheuser Busch, whose name I deleted apparently, wrote, as the CEO of, this is called Our Responsibility to America, and it was tweeted on a background of their logo, which is this, American Eagle, blah, blah, blah. So it was very, very Americana, all of it. And what it said was, as the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, I am responsible for ensuring every consumer feels proud of the beer we brew. We're honored to be part of the fabric of this country. Anheuser Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history supporting our communities. Military, first responders, sports fans, and hardworking Americans everywhere. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded: freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. I care deeply about this country, this company, our brands, and our partners. I spend much of my time traveling across America, listening to and learning from our customers, distributors, and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation.
God bless America. God bless everyone.
You see the flag being waved. You can just imagine it. And it is a remarkably wishy-washy comment.
It's lose-lose.
It's lose-lose. It's exactly right. He tries to cover all the bases and ends up accomplishing nothing. It's not an apology. I don't know that an apology was even required, and I'm not sure what he was trying to accomplish with this statement. I mean, I guess he was trying to smooth over everything, but really by saying absolutely nothing.
I mean, that's it exactly. What he's trying to do is win back the traditional beer drinkers, right? But at the same time, not offend Gen Z. And you manage to do neither, because now Gen Z sees that you rushed out to the marketplace, apologizing, semi-quote, or it's not really, but, you're responding, and you're trying to make nice with the beer drinking pickup crowd. And the beer drinking pickup crowd, maybe they'll come back, make your beer cheaper. They'll go to price.
Yeah. So the conservatives will be upset by this comment because it doesn't come out against Dylan, and the liberals will be upset by this comment because it doesn't come out in support of Dylan. And I think that there was no point in making this statement.
But part two of that, of appealing to we'll just call them the pickup truck beer drinkers.
Yeah.
Is air quotes around firing, but it's putting Alissa on ice, right? Hopefully she'll get a nice payout, and then she'll be able to move forward, and maybe a brand like Ulta will come to her and be all like, hey, we love what you did. It was real brave. Our target audience shares your values. And should we rate the apology?
Yeah.
Because that is what
0.
we do.
I give it a 0. It's got nothing. It's got none of the characteristics that I would expect of an apology. And so it gets a 0.
I'm going to give it a 0 as well. I want to give it a -1 because I feel like you're apologizing to the wrong people. And it's not the pickup beer drinkers you need to apologize to. You need their money. I get that.
Right.
And so, yeah. And then, on the other hand, I do recognize the PR move that it is. And what it does without apologizing is allow people to, on the right wing, the pickup truck beer drinkers, to say, well, okay, they apologized, so I'll go back to drinking Bud Light.
Right, that's true.
Yep. And so from a money perspective and from a like calm Wall Street perspective, it did its thing. But I'm going to say this about the culture wars. I did some podcasts searching, looking for Dylan Mulvaney shows and looking for Bud Light. And when I type in Bud Light, I got a lot of podcasts, and they were all right wing, and they were all to a person horrible people. Candace Owens, right? And the ugly things they said in the show notes. In the fucking show notes, they're saying these awful things, right? And it turned my stomach almost literally, and I couldn't make myself listen to them, right? Because it was like, I don't need that bullshit in my head, not because my life is so bad, I need more negative, but because my life is nice. I'm a happy person. I want to celebrate and be joyful around. Well, I can't believe I just used the word joyful. Sorry. My godmother used it. It haunts me sometimes. But you know, I don't mind sadness and life. That everything's a part of life. You can't avoid it. But everything does not have to be negative. And this was all negative. And so then when I went to Google, like Dylan Mulvaney, so the Bud Light Google or Bud Light podcast search, right? It was just all negative, negative, negative. And the Dylan stuff, it pulled up a bunch of right-wing bullshit that was also negative, 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 and just made my skin crawl. It didn't make me angry. It made me sad. Fucking sad for these people. Not sad for me, sad for them. And then the Dylan ones that were positive, which were by Rosie O'Donnell and this guy named Mark Mulvaney, who's a journalist, right? Who very left wing, of course, both of them. They were at least positive, right? And the thing that I'll point out, particularly about Dylan Mulvaney, is she's doing a show right now. It's a one-woman show in the Rainbow Room in New York City, right? Big lifetime dream, right? Everybody who's cool, and some people who aren't, but historically important, have played the Rainbow Room, right? Sandra Bernhard, Rainbow Room. Cult figures, Rainbow Room. Dylan Mulvaney, now in the Rainbow Room. Awesome. The proceeds from her show are going to the Trevor Project, right? Which is a LGBTQ suicide prevention hotline. Positive. I don't know where Candace Owens' money is going to, but I'll promise you it's not going to anything that I think would do good for anybody.
I agree.
And so if there's a culture war, and apparently there is, yes, the line's been drawn. They've been drawn in beer. The Budweiser wall has been stacked, right? And people are using guns to shoot at the wall. Great. And the rest of us, we're not... Shoot all the beer you want, just as long as you pay for it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God. So yes. And CEO Budweiser, it's not like I run out and buy Budweiser anyway.
No.
But this doesn't make me more inclined to buy it. Hell yeah. I still don't drink Coors because of the bullshit in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're back on board. Yippee, right? But
I won't go to Cracker Barrel, even though they're supposedly nice now.
Yeah, no.
No, don't forgive.
No, I just said all those positive things, but secretly I'm going to press you with my hatred until you're a shiny little diamond of tears. So, that's that.
Our story.
Landed on the side.
We wish Dylan Mulvaney all the best, and we hope that she continues to be joyful and as unaffected by the negativity around her as she possibly can be. So, excellent.
Right. And Alissa, you can come to me for marketing lessons anytime. Harvard apparently did you wrong, but I'll do you right. That's God, that's
some
bad.
Wine. I'll drink some wine with you.
Yeah. Oh, it's not the wine I objected to. It was all the mommy talk.
So do you have a Who's Sorry Now or an Apologies Expected today?
I do. I have an apology expected, and it's just because it's in my head. So there are 4 commissioners in Oklahoma who were caught after a public hearing in a room talking policy decisions, which is against the law in Oklahoma for politicians to do. These conversations are supposed to be had in public during public time. And the 4 people, 3 guys and 1 girl, 3 men and 1 lady, were saying racist things about how black people had too many rights, or at least more rights than we do. And I don't know which version of America you live in, but it's not the version that I live in. And then talking about murdering reporters. And one of the guys said, "Oh, I've got 2 holes dug on my property." And the FBI apparently is now interested in, are there holes? Did you dig some holes? Are they human size? And so I am sure that we will be hearing, just like we did from the LA City Council members, right, who were also recorded secretly saying racist, terrible things, that there'll be some apologies coming out from that, and fully expect them. And I would just say, racist, maybe you might want to think about your opinions and maybe wonder why people turn against you when they hear your opinions. Maybe your opinions are ill-formed. America's hero, once again. You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You especially.
Of course. And I do have an apology expected today, and it is, if you remember last week, I think it was, when the gentleman, there were 2 black gentlemen and a woman who got kicked out of the Tennessee State House for speaking out of turn, basically. And they didn't get all kicked out. Only the black people did, not the white woman. So anyway, one of the dudes, Tennessee State Representative Scotty Campbell, who was involved in kicking them out, resigned on Thursday after it was revealed that the state's House Ethics Committee had secretly convicted him of sexually harassing at least 1 legislative intern. Multiple women working as interns in the House have accused Campbell of making inappropriate sexual comments and advances towards them, and that the government potentially spent thousands of dollars helping relocate 1 woman from the apartment complex where the representative also lived. Campbell was a member of GOP leadership and was the vice chair of the Republican House caucus. So thank God he's gone. May many more follow.
Yeah, good job, Tennessee lawmakers. You've just drawn everyone's attention to you, and we're like, oh, wow, what else are you doing that's fucked up?
On over there?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I expect him to apologize, but he won't. I'm sure he won't. So.
No, he's probably not going to apologize, but he should.
He definitely should.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. What have you got? Anything else? Anything else you'd like to share with us before we take off and
go do greatness in our
new week?
Yeah. No, nothing at all, other than I am counting the hours, because it's about 24, 26 hours before your plane touches down.
I'm totally excited. And I'm totally excited because I'm flying first class, which I haven't done in years.
Ooh, and, nice.
It should be a more relaxing experience that way. So yay. Yay me.
Yay you. You'll really enjoy it. And I know those 3 hours are such hell on an airplane.
I know. Yep. Okay. That's it. Stay calm. What now? Stay cool cucumbers. And what was the other one?
It has to do with walking in a food product.
Don't trip potato chips. We'll talk to you later.
Alligator.
Catch you later, same time next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Apologies Accepted, the podcast.
You can find links to the articles and the sources in the show notes.
To submit an apology or find out more, visit us at apologiesaccepted.net, where you can also find our merchandise.
We're on Twitter at Apologies Accepted.
And on Instagram at apologies.accepted.
You can support our important work at Patreon.com/Apologies Accepted.
And fuck Facebook.
Bye.
Bye.